even in your darkest days, even if things are not going your way, be happy that you woke up this morning. Because someone out there in the world went to bed last night with the best intentions of waking up this morning and didn't even wake up.
Welcome to the Mind Over Money podcast with Jessen James, the only podcast you need to tune into each week to grow your personal, professional, and financial life. Join entrepreneur, investor, and multi-award-winning international speaker Jessen James as he shows you how to take control of your mind to create the life, income, and career you deserve. Here's your host, Jessen James.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mind Over Money podcast. My name's Jessen James. I'm grateful you're here today. Now listen, I get a lot of requests sometimes. Jessen, what's the secret behind happiness? How do you become more happy? You know, what is it? What is the secret to happiness? Well, first of all, one thing you've got to understand about happiness is a journey, it's not a destination. It's not somewhere you need to be. Often people say, Jessen, how do I become happy? My question back to them is no, how do you become happier? Because we're all happy with something. Look, I'm asking you to say this. Even in your darkest days, even if things are not going your way, whatever it might be happy that you woke up this morning. Because someone out there in the world went to bed last night with the best intentions of waking up this morning and didn't even wake up. You did. So it's not about being happy. You should already be happy because you opened your eyes this morning. So what can you do to become happier? Now, here's the thing. I want to let you know the secret behind happiness. You see, happiness has conditions. Let me explain what I mean. If this thing goes my way, I'll be happier. If this person does this, I'll be happier. I hope you're following what I'm saying right now. Happiness has conditions attached to it. Something needs to happen or go your way in order for you to be happy. Therefore, happy becomes transactional. And that's the problem. You see, why am I telling you this? Because you're going, but Jessen, I thought this was the Mind Over Money podcast. What's this got to do with making money? Well, if you're always linking your happiness to a specific outcome, for example, monetary gain, I'll be happy when I make the sale. I'll be happy when I get a pay rise. I'll be happy when I make more money. Then you're linking your happiness to a transaction. You're linking it to a specific outcome. Let's be perfectly blunt then. Most people are struggling with money. They're struggling with cash flow. They're struggling with sales. They're struggling with their bills. So you're never going to be happy, are you? So it's a problem. So what can we do about this? Learn the difference between happiness and joy. They're two different things. You see, joy has no conditions attached to it. Joy doesn't have anything attached to it. I will be joyful as long as I get X. No. You see, being joyful basically means doing what you love, being happy with what you're doing. So let's put it into business, for example. I meet a lot of business owners and entrepreneurial people who are unhappy because they're not making the sales. So again, their happiness is linked to what? The sale. If they make the sale, I'll be happy. If I don't make the sale, I won't be happy. So it's conditional. Their happiness is conditional. Well, what about this? What about enjoying what you do? What about loving the process? What about loving who you do it for? What about loving your career? You see, most people are not operating from a place of joy. They're just looking for the next hit to get happy. You will never be happy in that situation. So how, in a funny way, whether you make the sale or not, if you loved what you do, if you loved the process, if you enjoy your profession, your industry, your sector, your niche, if you loved it with joy, you would become happier anyway because the money would come in. Because you're doing it from a place of love. You see, most people are not doing things from a place of love. They're doing it because they need to. They're doing it because maybe they're fearful as well. Let's put sales. I'm just using sales as an example. You don't have to be a business owner to understand what I'm saying, but let's use sales as an example. Like, people are doing things from a place of fear. The sales are not coming in, so they're fearful. So they do what's called fear-based motivation. So they're scared. So they start to panic and they start to pressure people and they start to lower their standards and they start doing discounts and deals and they get desperate for the sale. And before you know it, they're out of business. Why? Because they've cut the cost so much, or they've reduced their income, or they've pushed everyone away. But if you did what you did from a place of love, you'd love yourself enough not to get desperate. You'd love yourself enough to tell people no when they ask for a discount. Even if you needed the money, you'd love yourself enough to say no because you love what you do. I'll give you another example of this. Many of you listening will know my background. I used to be a psychiatric nurse. In my care home days, when I first started my first care business, I cared about my patients. I wanted people to do well. I cared for people so much that I turned business away. What do I mean by this? I did it with love, and I needed the money. And we were struggling. I remember one day I was struggling for money. We had one resident in my care home that just started out. I needed at least another 2 so I could break even and freaking eat and pay my bills. And I had a commissioner come along and say, hey, listen, we've got a client, but they're really problematic. They're really challenging. They've got a lot of needs, Jessen, but we can only afford to pay you this per week. And it was absolute peanuts is what they want to give me. Now, out of desperation, I could have taken that money. But here's the problem. I would have been acting from a place of fear. I knew full well with the money they were giving me, I wouldn't be able to give that patient the level of care that they needed. And as a result of my greed, that patient would have actually gotten worse, deteriorated, and actually ended up giving my business a bad name. And just because of that need, I would have been wiped out. Why didn't I not do it? I did it because I love what I do. I have standards. I want people to be cared for. I want them to be looked after. I don't want my standards to drop. Therefore, I declined that offer. I turned the business away. And people thought I was mad. But you know what? I upheld my standards. Think about it. If I was scared, acting from a place of fear, I would have taken the money, I would have messed up, it would have cost me long term. What did I do instead? I operate from a place of love. Why? Because I love what I do. I wasn't waiting for the money to be happy. And that's what I'm trying to say to you guys. Learn the art. Learn the difference between happiness and joy. The Dalai Lama talks about this all the time. People don't understand this. They link their happiness to an outcome. So look, here's what I want you to do. Off the back of listening to this, I want you to ask yourself, how frequently have I been attaching my happiness to specific conditions? Have I been attaching my job satisfaction to certain conditions? For example, many people who are in a job right now, they might love their job, but the minute their boss tells them something that they don't like, suddenly they're not happy anymore. Which basically means your happiness at work was conditional, providing your boss lets you do whatever the heck you want. See? See what I'm saying? You attach your happiness to outcome. I want you to have a reflection this week. Have a think. Where else am I attaching some kind of outcome or condition to my happiness? Is it in my money? Is it in my job? Is it in my career? Is it in my health? Here's another one. With health, for example, I'll be happy when I look a certain way. But why don't you be happy right now? Why don't you be grateful that you can actually walk and go to the gym? There's people sitting in wheelchairs right now wishing they could go and work out. You get to do it every single day. Why don't you look at it like that? Many of us are not doing that. So have a think about your life right now, my friends. Where else are you putting conditions on your happiness? And can you operate from a place of joy instead? It's possible. You get to choose. You start doing this, watch how all areas of your life start to change. And the other beautiful thing about this is this, especially in relationships. Maybe you say to yourself, I'll be happy when my partner does X. Therefore, you can't tell your partner that you love them unconditionally, you liar. You can't. You keep on going around saying, oh, I love my partner unconditionally. I love my kids unconditionally. No, because I've seen parents lose their crap when their kid does something wrong. Therefore, you only love your kid with conditions. You got to think, this is deep. I know it's deep, but you got to think of it like this. You can't pin your happiness on your child. You can't pin your happiness on your partner. You can't say to your child, oh, I'll be happy. You're making me unhappy when you do that. No, you choose to get unhappy. Why? Because you've put conditions on your relationship with that person. Think about it. So have a good reflection over all of your life this week. Where are you putting conditions on your happiness? How can you remove these conditions and live a life of joy, not just happiness? All right? So look, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, do me a favor, make sure you subscribe and like this across all of your favorite channels. Make sure you share it across all of your social media platforms as well. And tag people, share it with people who actually need to hear this message today. I bet you there's someone out there right now that could do with hearing what I'm talking about. So go ahead and share it with your friends and your families. Make sure you leave us a review. And until the next episode, remember to keep your mind over your money and your money on your mind.
You've been listening to the Mind Over Money podcast with Jessen James. Don't forget to subscribe and follow on all the channels, links in the show notes. Please also leave a review and visit www.jessenjames.com to find more resources on how to create the life you deserve.